Om Shanti. 4th of April 2019, Thursday. Today's slogan: Purity is the main foundation of your life. Even if you have to die, you would not leave your religion. Purity is the main foundation of your life. Even if you have to die, you would not leave your religion. That's a Hindi saying, Dharat pariye, dharam na chodiye. So, even if one has to die, even the religion of purity which you have taken up, you should not give up. Because this purity is the very foundation of this life. So we have heard that multiple times, and there are so many murlis on the same thing. Even today's blessing is saying the same thing, that the very newness of this knowledge is purity, and without purity you cannot become a Jnani soul. So this is a very important question to understand. Why Baba has given so much importance to purity? In this knowledge, why purity is so much of importance? Baba has stressed this point the most in most of the murlis. He is little, you can say, lenient about other things, but when it comes to lust, when it comes to impurity, he is very, very strict. Why? Why so much importance is given in this yajna to purity? What could be the reason?
Purity is the mother of peace.
Yeah, that's there. Still, what could be the reason? If you see the cycle can be divided. The 5,000 years are divided in two parts. 2,500 years and 2,500 years. The very landmark, the very demarcation of this cycle, of this total 5,000 years age journey is this line. On this side is pure, on this side is impure. Because when impurity comes, all other vices come. The deities were so attractive, so beautiful. The life was full of happiness, peace, and there was prosperity. And all the elements were pure. And the moment body consciousness comes or impurity comes, the fall starts. So it is the first vice, it is the first thorn, it is your greatest enemy, it is the greatest rust. So many things Baba has said, because this very thing is responsible for the fall. And one more thing, there are other vices. There is an anger, attachment is there, greed is there, ego is there, and a whole lot of vices. But it is in impurity that one becomes 100% body conscious. Body consciousness is there in other vices as well. But in impurity, the amount of body consciousness is the highest. In impurity, the fall from the stage of purity is the highest. If On one side is soul consciousness. Impurity is absolutely the highest form of body consciousness. If purity is the highest form of soul consciousness, impurity is the highest form of body consciousness. So, it is the body consciousness or impurity, whatever you call, that has led to the fall, the greatest fall that has ever occurred. And if you see the thought pattern, when one is situated in soul consciousness, the thoughts are very less. So it is soul consciousness, thoughts are very less. When you come down from soul consciousness to positive thinking, just the thoughts are even less here. And then there are ordinary thinking. The thoughts increase here. So these are the three levels: ordinary thinking, some positive thinking, and the soul conscious, the highest stage, higher consciousness. Now here you come to waste thoughts, and then negative thoughts, and then the waste thoughts, negative thoughts, and then thoughts of vices and thoughts of lust. In this journey, the speed of the thoughts are greatest at this level. Other vices, they are more. Waste thoughts, they are very fast. Negative thoughts are fast. Then the slowest are the soul conscious. The number of thoughts are very less here. Like, for example, I am situated in the thought, I am a supremely pure soul, and I am spreading out vibrations of purity. I am situated in this thought for a long time, so thoughts are very less. So there is a deterioration gradually, and these thoughts are very fast, uncontrolled. And that's why there are so many crimes in the world. It's not that they are all bad people, but under the influence of this thing, they go uncontrolled. Because this is the highest form of body consciousness. And this is the highest form of soul consciousness. So this is the journey. So Baba is saying purity is the very foundation of your life. Because the total analysis of the cycle of 5,000 years tells us that it's from the copper age. It's very important to understand this copper age. The starting of the copper age, the fall of the deities. Till now, here also they used to marry. It's not that deities did not marry, they married. But the soul power was very high. That's why they did not fall into vices. Here the soul power reduced. And here the persons start becoming body conscious, and gradually it increased to such an extent that it had come to absolutely material level. And when there is the vices are running rampant, God enters and He reestablishes the religion of purity. So that is the first thing Baba says, become pure. And that's why there is so much opposition from society, because by the time, at this point of time, people have accepted impurity as the very natural nature. Though a handful of souls who were sannyasis, they left the world and they chose the path of purity, but there were very few, while the rest of the population, they followed the path of impurity, and they continued in it, and they loved it, and there was eternal sorrow and eternal suffering. Though the saints came in between, so many religious founders came, and they all were pure, and they all tried to establish purity, and they were successful to some extent for some period of time. But again there was fall. Every 500 years somebody came. Every 500 years some religious founder came, and he or she tried to he tried to elevate the masses, but still the fall continued. And at last God comes and He establishes purity. So purity is the very basis of this life. Purity is the very foundation of this life. Purity is the very religion. Purity is our very nature. When we are established in purity, we are peaceful, we are calm. When we are pure, we are following Srimad. And there is a unusual happiness one feels when one stays in this stage of purity. Just as in the stages of impurity, there is an inexplainable unhappiness. In the stages of purity, one gets that eternal, unusual feeling of rapture, ecstasy, supersensuous joy, bliss, whatever you call, beatitude. So there's a very highest stage, and one must try to keep one purity to the highest level. Purity journal, purity chart, purity graph, all those things are there. So when God comes, He has advocated purity not just for those who are unmarried, but for everyone. Marriage has nothing to do with this. Married, unmarried, whosoever, whatever is the age, this principle of purity is for one and all. So this is this much importance Baba has given to purity. That's why he's saying the very basis of this life is purity. If you study all the Avyakta Murlis and all the Sakar Murlis, you will see that Baba is lenient about many things, like about remembrance. He says, oh, whatever is possible for you, do remember Father. Then as much as possible imbibe divine virtues. Do service, whatever newness you can bring, whatever is possible for you. About money, everything he says, all that. But he has never been lenient about purity. He never said that, okay, you can become slightly impure and still continue to come. He has never said that. Whenever it comes about purity or impurity, he is very strict. His words are very stringent. So his face changes. If you see that Murli of 15th November 2003, very strict words about purity. Whilst talking with Kumars, Baba said, this impurity is like a blot on white paper. Don't think that it is less, that we have done it and it is very less, not less, it is too much. So there are multiple Murlis where Baba has talked about purity. So we will see few things, how to achieve the highest level of purity in this Brahmin life. And as Baba said, purity is not brahmacharya, but yes, brahmacharya, if this is the building of purity, brahmacharya is the foundation of that. The brahmacharya is not, the celibacy is not the only thing. If there are 10 things in purity, celibacy is one of the important things. If you take out celibacy, the building of purity falls down. But alone celibacy is not purity. Staying unmarried alone is not purity. That's just one part of it. So, purity, you need few things. First, penance. What is needed for purity is? What is needed for purity is penance. Penance means tapasya. Penance means tap. without penance, you cannot achieve purity. Just to take the vow of purity is one thing. Just to take the vow of purity is one thing, pledge of purity is one thing, but that's not enough. One has to strive. Purity is a sadhana. Purity is a sort of curriculum of this university. Just as in curriculum we have so many things, in the similar manner, in the curriculum of purity, you have tapasya. So, the first thing which is needed is tapasya or penance. Penance means it includes so many things: self-control, self-mortification, all the killing of, or rather transforming of all the sensual desires. Because all those sensual desires have troubled us a lot for the 5,000 years, for 2,500 years, half the cycle. So, the very first thing needed for purity is penance. Without penance, one cannot sustain purity for a long time. One can stay in pure atmosphere like Madhuban, but it's not necessary that staying in Madhuban is alone enough. One can listen to pure knowledge every day, but listening to pure knowledge is not enough. There should be an awareness about purity, and for that one should be aware of tapasya. Tapasya even doesn't mean sitting at one place in particular posture and doing something. It's something deep. It's something deep where you're internally churning about purity. The second thing which is needed for purity is unlimited disinterest, vairag. The souls who are attached, in today's blessing also Baba said, purity means one who is unattached. Not attached to anything or not attached to any person. So, without unlimited vairag, unlimited disinterest, one cannot achieve the highest stages of purity. Because purity doesn't mean only one vice. Purity is an overall thing. Like, I am attached to some person. So the more I am attached to that person, I would be thinking about that person. The more I think about that person, then I think about his or her qualities. And then more I want to be with that person. Then I want to gift something to that person. And I want to receive some gift from that person. And there is an expectation. Lot of expectations. I want to share everything with that person. And then many other things start. So, without unlimited disinterest, there is no purity at all. When the impure feelings would come in emotions, one would not know. Person A is there and person B is there. And both are Gyanis. There is a Brahma Kumar and there is Brahma Kumari. And they both understand everything. And probably both are teachers. And they teach about purity to the world. But they themselves are attached with each other. So this subtle attachment leads to development of so many feelings. And feelings are stronger than thoughts. And feelings are stronger than logic, reasonings. Once the feelings gain the upper hand, all the logic is thrown overboard. So, Baba often says, be unattached. There were two sisters once sitting in Madhuban, and they were chit-chatting. So Brahma Baba saw the two sisters are sitting and chit-chatting. After 1 hour, they were still chit-chatting. So after some time, again Mama saw, and those two sisters were still chit-chatting. Then Mama and Baba went to those sisters, and Baba took one sister on one side, and Mama took another sister on another side. And they asked, what were you doing? It's not possible that they are discussing Gyan. They were not discussing Gyan. And they both gave different versions of what they were discussing. So that shows that they were discussing something which is not Gyan. So, unlimited disinterest. And then, unless and one takes rebirth, there is no purity. Unless and one takes rebirth, there is no purity. Rebirth means dying alive. Rebirth means becoming dead to everything that is past. A new birth, a new life, a pure life, and dying to the old impure life. Unless and until there is rebirth, there cannot be any purity. So taking a new birth with the thought that this is my old life and now this is my new life. Baba has given me new birth. Baba has given me a new life. I cannot go back to the old life. Just as Baba often gives the example, when one takes rebirth, what happens? One forgets everything which is of the past birth. In the similar manner, this is a new birth. I cannot continue all those things which were there in past in this birth also. So in this birth only we have two lives. That's why they say in Sanskrit, Brahmins are Dvij. Dvij means twice born. In Bible it is written, unless and until you are twice born, you cannot reach the kingdom of God. Unless and until you are twice born. Jesus Christ says at one place, those who take birth once, they die twice. And those who take birth twice, they die once. What does it mean? Those who take birth twice, they die only once. First birth, the previous vicious life, and second birth, godly life. So they will die once, their body. Those who take birth only once, they die twice. First, the whole life is death. They are suffering every day because they have not taken new birth. That's why they are dying here in that very life. And second death is the final death of the body. So those who those who are single born, they die twice. Those who are double born, they die once. That's what is given in Bible. So, unlimited rebirth. That's the third thing. The fourth is importance of purity. If one wants to follow the principle of purity, if one wants to follow this vow of purity, one must understand importance of purity. How much purity is important. The fall in purity is the cause of all the sorrows and all the sufferings in life. So, importance. And then tyag. Tyag means renunciation. One has to give up many things to which one is attached in order to attain the highest form of purity, and last is yoga. Without yoga, one cannot achieve any level of purity. No matter one has got theoretical knowledge of purity, one is studying Gyan, one knows the importance of purity, there is tapasya also one is doing, all of the things are going on. There is a vairag, but unless and until you become bodiless, unless and until the stages of yoga increase, you cannot achieve purity. In recent Murli, which was played out in Shantivan, Baba conducted a drill in between. What was that drill? Sweet silence. Baba said, just get situated in sweet, sweet silent stage. That's it. So, making yoga powerful. Focusing more and more on yoga. That will be the basis of highest form of purity. So you need all of these things. Penance, unlimited disinterest, rebirth, importance of purity, tyag, and yoga. This can go on, but these were the few things which we discussed. So today's slogan is, purity is the foundation of your life, even if you have to die. Give up everything. This is like a vow. Even if you have to die, you would not leave your religion. This is your religion, Baba said. You just imagine there were so much atrocities committed on people when they were asked to change their religion. But they did not bow down. There are so many examples of Sikh people. Guru Gobind Singh, both of his children were buried alive, but they did not give in. They were forced to exchange their religion, but they did not yield. They gave up their lives, but they did not accept defeat. So people, for them, religion is such an important thing. Baba said, purity is your religion. Give up everything, but don't give up purity. You may have to compromise relationships, worldly relationships, but don't give up purity. Because purity is the highest of all the religions. Om Shanti.